Welcome back to NABYukti demo. Now we have seen how to create master forms, master entries, how to create self-help groups. Now we are ready to enter the data for these self-help groups. This option is available under data collection format under the main menu. Now click on add delete edit DCF. You will be taken to a page which has 3 grids. Right now the first grid is not visible. That is because this grid has the list of SHGs for which the data has been continuously entered in all financial periods without fail. Then there is a second grid which shows list of SHGs for which previous period data is not entered. This is the case where there may be discontinuity in data entry because of various reasons. That group might be a migratory group and the data is not available, or for some reason data is not collected. Under such circumstances, the previous year data is not available, and hence that group shows up in this grid. And it may be also the case of it's a new group created this year. So since there is no data for the previous period, that particular group comes under this grid. The reason why these two grids were created were that it becomes easy for the data entry operator to distinguish the groups for which have continuous data and groups which have discontinuous data, so they can take a decision on their data entry strategy and they can enter the data. The third group consists of the SHGs for which the data has been already entered for the current period. So basically this third grid represents the SHGs which data is there and they are available for modification or deletion if case comes up. Now since this is the first year of data entry, all the groups are in the second grid. Now let us see how to proceed data entry for this. You have to click on the link here. So a pop-up message comes asking you whether to say whether you would like to restart the group or you would like to go back to the previous period and enter the data. Now in this sense there is no previous period data. We'll choose this option and click on submit. Then there is a warning message which comes up and says that if you choose this option, you will not be able to go back to the previous period where the data is present and make changes over there, but you will still be able to generate the reports for the previous period. We'll click on yes. Then it will ask the reason for which for restarting this SHG. Let us say data, this is a new SHG, and we'll enter the date of restart. Let's say this 1st of April. Click on submit and we'll be taken to this data entry form. As you can see, this data entry form has many sections, and compared to the previous version of NABYukti, this data collection format has been completely redesigned, keeping in mind how we can make it very easy for the data entry operators to enter the data. I'll explain about it. The first pane here gives the generic data of the SHG code, SHG name, to which taluk it belongs to, the financial year for which the data is being entered, and the data entry mode. And there is also a language selection bar. I'll come to this later. And each of this, there are around 12 panes which organizes the data in a collated fashion. For example, general information about SHG has data about who are the representatives from the group, then the membership details, then number of members who are part of more than one SAG, number of meetings held, who are the CA for this group, and if the books are audited, till when are they audited. So such kind of general administrative detail of the SAG. Then there is a pane which organizes the data for training. There is for asset register. Then we have a big pane which captures the financial information of the SAGs, like the savings, the bank balances, the cash balances, and the deposits. We have capital mobilized. Capital mobilized is divided into two parts again. One is the loans part and another is the grants and subsidy part. We have group credit activity, expenses, common fund entries. Then we have something called as DCF closure, trial balance, income and expenses, and balance sheet. I'll come to this later on. So this is how the data entry form is organized, and we find that this kind of interface helps the data entry operator to go back and forth during data entry and verifying if the data entered is proper. So the data entry operator need not go to a different page or a different tab to see what's happening there. All the data they have entered is existing on the same form. That's the advantage of this particular design which we have followed. Now let us look at the language feature of this data collection format. Right now Hindi and Kannada has been loaded into this software. We can load any other language and it's very simple to do with a user interface. I'll choose Hindi now. So the data collection format loads with the labels in Hindi. It will aid our data entry operators to enter data, because it becomes very easy to understand what each of these fields mean and what value is expected out of it. By this we intend to reduce the data entry errors. Similarly, if Kannada is chosen, all the labels get loaded with Kannada. Now we will go back and to English and see what options are available for data entry. Throughout this page, the data entry operations are carried out in these text boxes with an add button. So once this add button is clicked, the data goes to this particular grid. It is stored here temporarily, and on click of submit, the data is committed to the server. Let us enter our data here. After entering the name, enter the from date and to date. Remember that this from date and to date has to be within the financial period that has been selected. 04 2005 to 31st March 2006. Now click on add button and that record gets added to the grid here. One word of caution: whenever you click add, it only means that the data is saved on this page itself. It has still not gone to the database. So anywhere in Nabyukti, if you would like to save something to the database, you have to click on submit. Submit is a button which will save the data to the database. So, and one more important tip is anywhere on this data collection format you want to save data, look out for the green band like this. This green band is the band on which submit button resides and on click of which the data is saved. All, all these panes have individual submit buttons. This is done with keeping the data safety in mind. Because this is a internet based system, there may be issues with respect to timeouts or network problems, and there may be a chance for losing out the data which has been entered and not yet saved to the database. Just to avoid that, we have multiple submit buttons on this form. So as soon as a particular functionality is entered, let us say member savings and cash, there is a submit button. As soon as the bank entries are made, there is a submit button, and so on and so forth. For example, even on the deposits, there is a submit button. So please make use of this option and keep saving data as soon as you enter the data. Now going back to our general information pane in which we had entered this data. So after entering this, to save it to the database, please click on submit button. Then you will get a affirmation whether this record is saved or not saved. Because of some reason, you will know instantaneously about the status of the data. This data entry logic is same as what we had seen in the master page. So on click of this add, the data comes to this grid, and if you would like to edit the data, click on the edit button. That gets copied back to the text boxes here. Then again click on add data so that it goes back to the grid. And remember, as I said earlier, this data is still on the page until you click on the submit button. So you get a new message saying record updated. First we had seen that the message was record inserted. So by following this methodology, you will be very safe in entering data. After completing the data entry, we have an option to close the data collection format. This is similar to year ending procedure. So there is an option under DCF closure. As soon as you click, what the software does is it will sum up all the debit entries and it will sum up all the credit entries and prepare a trial balance. If the trial balance matches, then the message says trial balance has matched and it closes the DCF. If the trial balance does not match, you will get a message DCF is not closed. Close DCF by clicking DCF closure button. So on click of that, it will recalculate and find out if the trial balance is matching. If it is not matching, it will give a similar message. So now we need to check where the imbalance is. So we can click on the trial balance pane and click on generate trial balance. So we get a trial balance, detailed trial balance report, which shows all the debit entries and credit entries, and in the end you will see the total that there is a trial balance mismatch. And since we have a comparison about the debit and credit entries here along with our data collection format, we'll exactly know where the issue is. So we can go back into this panes, and then accounting panes, especially savings, cash, bank deposit pane, or a capital mobilized pane, group credit activity pane, expenses pane, or common fund entries which contain accounting data. So the mismatch is happening over there. Please correct that and again come back to the DCF closure and click on close DCF. So you will get an appropriate message. Then you'll, after the trial balance matches, you will be able to see the income expenses and the balance sheet. This completes the data entry part. Now we will look at how to generate the reports.